What's up, guys? Scottoria here to talk a little bit about one of my favorite mechanics being reintroduced back into Path of Exile Ritual, and that is going to be Harvest. Now, Harvest is one of my favorite mechanics because I love to craft. I'm not necessarily saying I'm good at it, but I really enjoy making it and helping diversify the builds that I'm going to be running because it kind of opens up the options for you to be able to theory craft. Anyway, so recently, I believe there was actually a low-key nerf that happened to an interaction between Zana and the Uncharted Realms passive tree. Now, this nerf, I feel as though has affected your abilities to consistently sustain, getting harvests and getting those crafts. However, I don't believe it's bricked it. I do absolutely feel as though you can still get that consistent harvest crafts being offered. I've actually ran since I've seen the nerf. I've actually ran about 3 series worth of maps in Hallwork Hamlet. So just to kind of show like how long it takes to, fill out each conqueror, fight Cirrus, do it again. And I feel as though the numbers I was getting, I probably should have recorded it, and it is absolutely my mistake for not doing it. But it felt as though it was about every other map, occasionally once every 2 maps. But for the most part, it was about once every other map. I was getting a harvest offer, if not a harvest in the map itself, but most of the time it was usually from Zana being, offering it. Anyway, I do want to give a special shout out to Grimro. He's the one where I actually learned about the Zana interaction with the Atlas in order to leverage the harvest mechanics. So guys, make sure you guys check out his channel. I'll have his link in the description down below. So appreciate that, man. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Why do I think it was nerfed without like any kind of official posts or anything like that? Basically, whenever we look at the Uncharted Realms passive tree itself, it says Zana missions in areas have double the number of map options. Now, whenever you have double the number of anything, it has to be a numeric like integer of 2. So if you double an odd number, it'll be an even number every time. If you double an even number, it will always be an even number every time. So that means there's no way, absolutely no way at all, where you should be getting offered an odd number of maps from Zana. Now, we saw something on Reddit from someone from GGG saying that they were going to nerf the interaction between the Watchstones, which we'll get into here in a second, and the Uncharted Realms. So that way, essentially, they're not going to be doubling the maps being offered by the craftable Watchstones. And I think that's what we're seeing here, because it would make a lot of sense. Right here, we can see we have 9 maps being offered to us. That means not all the maps are being doubled because it's not an even number. I only have 1 Watchstone that gives 1 additional map option, so the math kind of adds up. So that means it's telling me that I was initially offered 4 maps, and they doubled it to 8, and then this was the added additional map on top of that, making it 9. So that's where I'm kind of seeing the math add up here. Now, moving forward, let's talk a little bit about how you can leverage this. If you have not heard about how to go about doing this and how to regularly get harvests consistently, as well as pseudo sustain Zana, that's what the rest of this video is going to be on. Now, when it comes to Zana missions, I started doing this once I reached Awaken 8. You can actually get usable seeds at I-76 and above, because then you can get, all the way past that, which starts around, I believe it's tier 9 maps. I know for certain tier 10 maps, you get seed levels that you can do all the way up. But someone correct me if I'm wrong about tier 9. I haven't tested that one out. But honestly, I just wait till Awaken 8 because then I'm also dual farming Cirrus at the same time. So as I'm running maps in Hallwork Hamlet, I'm able to fill those bars up, fight Cirrus, and continue it, kind of doing, making money in different ways at a time. Now, why do we choose Hallwork Hamlet? Hallwork Hamlet has some incredible interactions with harvest, mostly juicing the quality of crops. So in this case, gives the rarest of 2 chosen craft options, higher chance of tier 4 plants. A lot of people actually also use Lex Proxima, which gives you more opportunities to fight the Sacred Grove or the boss. Now the boss this league, since it's been reintroduced, I've fought it a couple times and I've actually gotten some really good loot. So it's really not a bad thing if you want to go Lex Proxima and kind of force, the hopes of getting more boss encounters. It does have a 1% higher chance of getting a harvest craft than Hallwork Hamlet, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's 6% here and 5% here. However, I want the crafts. Like, that's what my main focus is. I'm a crafter. I want the crafts. I want to get them. So I'm kind of focusing on Hallwork Hamlet. If you want more boss encounters, stuff like that, it'd probably be Lex Proxima. But I do feel as though more values in Hallwork. So what should we do? So as you reach Awaken 8, that's probably when your character is going to be strong enough to where you can start doing those Maven like encounters and stuff like that. The two easiest ones are going to be Elder and Shaper. Those Guardians, honestly, even if you just do it on like a white invitation, I feel as though it was really not very difficult at all. The Breach one is pretty tough. But anyway, all you need is to complete 2 of those encounters. That way you can get your passive tree and you can get the additional Zana missions on completion, as well as, most importantly, double the number of map options that she gives you. So that way, whenever you encounter Zana in your map, you actually get twice the number of maps that she offers you, and then which in turn leads to you getting maps that say complete the harvest on it. Now that's absolutely nuts, especially if you can get up to like 20 maps being offered to you. Your odds of actually getting one of those maps that say complete the harvest are pretty common. Like I said, I'll still get them, about once every other map, I would say, after about 3 Cirrus runs. So it's absolutely nuts. Now, how do we pseudo sustain Zana? Something I would also recommend going into this endeavor, I would honestly save up till you have about 10, maybe even 15 if you can wait that long, Zana missions stockpiled. Because once you reach that point, anytime you come across a harvest, and this is one of the most important parts about it, guys, that you have to pay attention to. Anytime you come across a harvest that says sacrifice a map for additional Atlas missions, like you'll see it in the crops before you choose one, regardless of what the crops say on either or, that's the one you have to choose. So it doesn't happen very often. But when it does, like unfortunately, you have to click that one, no matter of what the other roles are. If both harvests are offering it, then you have a little bit more wiggle room as to which one you choose. But if you see a harvest that says sacrifice a map for additional Atlas missions, you got to go with that one, because then you can help pseudo sustain Zana missions. You get like 3 additional missions for it, and then you could also get additional missions for all masters. It's nuts. And then not only that, but since we're also we're taking those passive tree nodes, you're actually still sustaining getting Zana missions from completing the maps themselves. You can actually get that from the Watchstones. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Watchstones. I'm going to talk about the optimal route, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the more budget route. So the optimal route is to stack your Atlas with Titanium, Hallwork, Hamlet, Watchstones, where you can get Zana missions, have 2 additional map options. Now, bear in mind, the weight for this is 5, which, to give some perspective on that, is a 1/5 of an Explodey roll, because I believe Explodey is 25, if I'm not mistaken. This is the one I rolled. It took about 200 alteration orbs, and I actually still consider that lucky, considering the weight is 50, which is also really hard to hit. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. Your optimal way is to get 2 additional and all 4 Watchstones, and then that's 8 additional maps you're able to look at. So obviously, the more looks you have, the more opportunities you have of getting harvest. And this also kind of leads me to believe that the reason for the nerf was justified, because I mean, obtaining 16 additional looks is just absolutely nuts. It's unethical. And I mean, I would like all of those additional looks. I get it. Like it makes sense. But 8 is still absolutely great. So this is the optimal route. So now, going into the budget side, these Watchstones, the Titanium, Hallwork, Hamlet Watchstones, when I bought mine, it was about 100 chaos, 140 maybe. So it was a little bit on the expensive side. If you don't quite have those funds, or maybe you can only buy one at a time, then let's look at some of the more optimal rolls for the other Watchstones, which usually average around 10 chaos or something along those lines. So the Platinum one, out of all the mods that appear, I feel as though this is probably going to be your best avenue of approach. It's like a tier 1 additional crafting options potential, so you can reach even up to 4% chance, if not 2.6. Those odds aren't really the greatest, and the weight is really low at 14. But it's at least something that could potentially help you out. And I would take a 4% additional crafting, or 4% chance at additional crafting options over nothing at all. Outside of that, I mean, I don't really think there's really much else in these mod pools. Maybe getting like chance for additional Zana missions, which I don't know if it rolls on this one. I don't think it does. I'll have the link to PoEDB in the description also down below, guys. That way you guys can take a look at this website and see what kind of suits your playstyle a little bit better. Drop an additional map. This one could also be viable. I'm going to get into that in the next Watchstone because honestly, map sustainments are also very valuable. Now, this is going to be the worst Watchstone, Chrominium, because there's really no mods that really benefit your endeavor for, you know, harvest farming. I would say dropping additional maps would be for the sheer map sustainment. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of looking at more so like what other things you're doing on the side. Like maybe you need more regal orbs or something like that. Otherwise, Chrominium's really, I mean, there's really not much you're going to get from this Watchstone when it comes to leveraging that. All right, so now that I have my crafting options, I've done my Zana setup. I have my Atlas tree, you know, path into, let's say we're focused on Hallwork Hamlet. We've taken our nodes here. We've gotten our four passives so we can reach paths not taken from Zana. I'm farming them. I'm getting these harvests. I'm sacrificing maps to get additional Zana missions to help pseudo sustain. And which, by the way, I'm still at like 14. I'm not in my hideout right now to show you guys, but I have 14 Zana missions, and it's literally just from running these maps over and over again and hitting those crafts every time I get offered it. How do I go about making money? So you could take your crafts, and I do feel as though I've been promoting this Discord like every video recently, but it's so valuable. I'll have the link to this Discord server down below in the description. And you can see here, harvest crafts wanting to buy. If you want for those quick sales, you can go through this section here and see if there's anyone actually, you know, actively requesting some of the crafts that you're offering. And then also see if the price kind of suits you. You can kind of base it off of what other people are asking for that same craft. Or you can just post in wanting to sell, which you do have. You get right back into mapping. Maybe someone will stumble upon your post and then they'll message you and then yada, yada. Completely up to you. I'll let you guys join the server and, you know, kind of check it out, see like which one kind of suits your selling strategies. I'm by no means sponsored by or endorsed by or partnered with the founders of this server. I just think it's an absolutely wonderful third-party tool that is incredibly helpful for everyone. Yeah, guys, that's it. Without further ado, if you guys enjoyed my content, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. I truly appreciate the time you took out of your day to watch my video. Make sure you guys stay tuned. I should be posting another video here in the next few days, hopefully. Anyway, see you guys again very soon.